We're not going to take up too much time because we know we are literally right before lunch, and I'm sure people are ready to get going. So my name is Yasser again. I'm CEO of Prenetics. We are a boutique CX consulting firm. We do implementations, managed services, and consulting for customer experiences, primarily partnered with AWS, but we work across the tech ecosystem. And I'm really pleased to have Cynthia join me. Cynthia, if you can introduce yourself.
Hello. Okay. Hi, my name is Cynthia. I am Unified Communications Manager with the Office of the Chief Technology Officer. That's the technology agency for the District of Columbia government here in Washington, D.C. I've been working with my agency for 16 years, the last 4 years as a manager leading the team. And our team provides telephony services, web and video conferencing solutions, and contact center services for all district agencies.
Awesome. A little bit about my background. So I was at AWS for about 6 years. Before that, I was at Avaya, Nortel, Genesis. So lots of time spent in the unified communications and contact center space. At AWS, I helped launch Amazon Connect, which is AWS's cloud contact center based service. And was part of the team that created some speech analytics products that we actually just got a patent for in February. So very excited about that. But we work with lots of customers like Cynthia, federal agencies, commercial agencies, and so forth. So we heard a lot today about generative AI, about AI, and how critical data is to the use of those services. And part of the interesting part about that is getting onto the cloud really helps agencies and companies get the most benefit out of those technologies. So Cynthia, if you could take a minute and just talk a little bit about your journey to the cloud. I know you've invested a lot of time and effort, especially with actually before COVID, which came in really handy during COVID. So if you could spend a little bit of time talking about that, please.
Sure. So just to give you background of our setup, our contact center solutions, we were using a legacy system, the Avaya system. We were having our agents logging in using their desk phones for a very long time. So we didn't have a good telework solution, a good soft client. We tried the Avaya solution and we didn't like it. It didn't work for us. So about 2 years before COVID, we started exploring the cloud. We found Amazon Connect. We liked it. We liked the potential even back then. So we moved our first contact center, our own IT support service desk, and it was working great. So we moved about 2 or 3 contact centers before COVID. We started talking to agencies, showing them the solution. It was very promising, but agencies were not ready to jump in. People sometimes don't like to change. They were feeling pretty comfortable logging in on their desk phones. But then COVID hit, and everybody had to telework 100%. Agencies at least knew we were ready. We had an option. So they came all at the same time asking to be moved to the cloud. We are a small team, 10 engineers, but the solution is so easy to learn that they all knew how to create an account from scratch, how to create call flows, queues, prompts, and we were able to move about 60 contact centers to the cloud in a very short period of time. Agencies were very, very happy. They couldn't believe that DC government could continue providing services, everybody teleworking, working from home, when in the past they were not even allowed to work a single day from home. So that's how we landed on Amazon Connect during COVID time.
Awesome. And now that you're actually on the cloud, and with the acceleration of AI and generative AI, that's given you the ability to start actually getting some of those benefits. So before we get there, I know obviously it's very important, especially in the public sector space, to have a method to the madness as you think about playing with generative AI and AI. Tell us a little bit about how your organization has structured itself and if there's any frameworks or tenets that you guys took to kind of lead the charge.
Right, so DC government has been working on the strategic plan for AI. Early this year, Mayor Bowser signed an order defining our 6 AI values that any of the solutions that we incorporate into DC government have to be on alignment with these DC values. And the values, I'm sure they're gonna ring to all of you. Clear benefit to the people, safety and equity, accountability, transparency, sustainability, privacy, and cybersecurity. So when any DC agency wants to incorporate a tool or an AI solution, they have to show that they're gonna be on alignment with these 6 values that Mayor Bowser identified already. We also have the AI advisory group This is a group with members from the public, from different sectors, from education, healthcare, legal, cybersecurity, and it has members of the DC government employees from different agencies, the Department of Employment Services, Contracts and Procurement, Office of Equity, in Office of course, the Executive Mayor Office. And the purpose for this group is to oversight the adoption of any AI tool or any AI solution to make sure that they're on alignment with these DC values. We have the AI task force. That's another group of experts, and their role is to create policies, procedures, all the training material, documentation, and they're working on a very specific timeline, and they're supposed to provide all these deliverables. So DC government is very excited to adopt AI, but we're going to be doing it in a safe and a responsible way.
That's awesome. I think that resonates with a lot of the things we heard earlier today. And I love that the first one was clear benefit to the people, starting with the customer and working backwards and solving problems that actually matter to the folks that actually use the DC services. So now that you're on the cloud and you have access to some of these capabilities, tell me a little bit about what you're actually using AI for today, and then we'll move on to maybe what you're looking for in the future.
Okay, we're going to be talking about our contact centers specifically. So some things that we're doing today with AI, we're record our conversations on all our contact centers for quality and training purposes, but we have hundreds or thousands of phone calls and recordings. Now, our supervisors or our quality analysts are not full-time employees to do that work. They have to wear different hats. They have different roles throughout the day. So it is not realistic that they're going to be checking some of these recordings. They were checking samples of the recordings. So what AI is providing us right away is a summarization of the calls. We're using, again, Amazon Connect with Contact Lens. Contact Lens is the transcription and the sentiment analysis tool. But Contact Lens provides this summary of the call. So for our IT help desk, a 30-minute call of troubleshooting, a supervisor is not going to read it, is not going to listen to it, but now they can see a quick paragraph of the reason of the call. It detects automatically the issue and the outcome for each call. They see a button, they can click on the issue, and it will take them specifically to the transcription portion that describes why the caller is calling you. And you click on the outcome and you can see the resolution for that call. So it's the speed that is benefiting the supervisors. Another example on Contact Lens and agent evaluations. We have evaluations to see how the agents are doing. For example, if the agents are providing the correct reading at the beginning of the call, at the end of the call, if they're showing some type of empathy, or if they're providing a specific information for a contact center, and the agents are evaluated based on that. Again, it's labor intensive for a supervisor that has other work to do. What Contact Lens and Amazon Connect is doing with AI is automatically filling these evaluations, automatically scoring the agents, and it presents the data to the supervisor. Here's a human intervention to review what the AI is proposing. So it shows all the answers on the screen, and it provides a quick description or a quick explanation on why it's giving those answers. So the supervisor, the only thing they have to do is to accept or to modify a specific evaluation and move on. So those are examples of things that we're doing right away. Now, the things that we are implementing for 3 contact centers right now is Agent Assist. So with AI, we are able to identify knowledge-based documents. It's a key to have clear content. And based on that, when a call comes in and the caller is asking questions, the agent is listening, AI is listening, and then based on that real-time conversation, the agent will see proposed responses. So that's when generative AI is coming. Based on the content that we're defining, it provides information or responses for the agent, the human intervention. The agent can then choose to respond what the AI is proposing, or the agent can search on a box for additional information and provide that information to the caller. That also helps to keep consistency with the responses throughout the contact center. So that's another example of things that we're doing today. Now the things that we're planning, right? So we're focusing on 311. We are trying to bring all these tools that we are using for other contact centers into 311. We have something called theme detection. So when you have thousands of phone calls, you can analyze all those phone calls and detect the main reason why these callers are calling to you. So we can see with counts of phone calls, the top 10 reasons, for example. This is helping us to identify where we can create self-service applications. Sometimes there's a disconnect between the business side and IT. We have the tools and we want to help them, but we don't necessarily get information from the business, maybe because they don't know or maybe because they're too busy. So now we can tell them exactly, look, these thousands of people are calling you to get status of benefits. And we happen to know how to create a self-service application to do it automatically. So when people call in, we can ask if it's about status of benefits and just serve the call without any agent interaction. So that's what we're doing with theme detection. Now for 311, the dream is when you call 311 or any of the city contact centers, instead of having the prompts, long prompts asking, are you calling to for renewing your license? Are you calling to report XYZ? You just have to say, why are you calling 311? And detect the reason for that call. Use that information to either transfer to an agency, transfer to a queue, or identify if it's a service that they're trying to request. If it's a new service request, we can actually have better conversational solutions, prompt the caller for the information, collect that information, and create the service request automatically. We have done, we can call it legacy Q&A chatbots, or the traditional chatbots, where we have to define all the reasons for the call, keywords. We have to predict what type of questions they're going to be asking, but it's very labor intensive. It's not necessarily scalable. We did it for a couple of agencies, but with GenAI, that goes away. This is where we see the benefit, because we can, again, define content. We have the structure in the case of 311 that is applicable to other 5 agencies, and we can create better conversational solutions, either for chat or for voice. But those are some of the examples that we're looking into.
That's so cool. So you touched on a couple of things. You touched on visibility with things like agent evaluations. I would imagine that you probably only had a fraction of the calls that you could actually review. Just curious, like what percentage of calls were humans reviewing versus now having the ability to almost get 100%?
Yeah, so in reality, and we're going to talk about real numbers, again, our supervisors and quality analysts are doing other work. Most of the contact centers, I'm going to say, of the 60 contact centers, maybe 10% of them had actual quality analysts, where they were reviewing maybe 20% of the calls. That's the reality. Now, with these new tools, I'm not going to say they're going to review on 100%, but it's definitely going up. I want to say 50%, because they can see, like, it's so easy. It's so easy to get the information. It's not that how do you say, tedious to be listening to a conversation or to read to entire transcription, to fill the evaluation. They know it's just a few clicks, a few paragraphs. So it incentivizes people to actually do the work. So it's going up. It's not going to be 100%, hopefully one day, but yeah, it's definitely going up.
Very cool. So we have visibility, increased productivity with Agent Assist, but then also you're still impacting the customer experience with some of the self-service and automation that we worked on. Personally, for me as a technologist, we almost blew our own mind once we really started working with some of the automation we were able to do specifically for 311. What was cool about that problem was that there's actually an open standard 311 API that's nationwide. And we were able to use OpenAI via an API to actually take the standard API for 311 and get some pretty clever prompt engineering put in place that allows the chatbot to automatically know what questions to ask a caller for 311. Not only to know what questions to ask, but also understanding the API structure, it knew what was required and what wasn't required. So for example, if you called and said, I have a car parked in my spot, it would ask you for the color of the car or the make of the car and the license plate number. And if you didn't know the license plate number, it was smart enough to say, okay, no problem, we'll continue. Because it could read and understand that the API schema said that that field was not required. So just being able to see some of that stuff work, even as a technologist, was just pretty amazing to see what's possible. So we have a pilot that we're doing. And when are we planning to have that go into production?
Yeah, so we're announcing today that we expect that we incorporate some of these features for 311 early next year. And we're going to do it very slowly. We're not going to, take out what we have today and just have people interact with AI immediately. It's going to be an option. So we have limited resources like everybody else. We may have some spikes. We have calls in queue, wait time. So we're going to take advantage of that. When there are calls waiting, when the expected wait time is X minutes, we're going to offer the option to use these new tools, AI, and do it, do the request automatically or without human intervention. We're gonna check how that's going, and then we're gonna move from there. So you can talk about what we've been testing so far with the 4 intents and our plans to increase that.
Awesome. Yeah, and actually resonates from the last point that you guys were making, which is, dream big, start small, but start. What's cool about that is, there's a factor here of trust. So if I have customers that are engaging with these systems, you only have a couple of times to either earn trust or lose trust with those callers. So the idea isn't to just force it and kind of shove it down their throat. It's to say, hey, you can wait for 20 minutes, or you can try to experience this self-service experience that we've made. And if you start small, you can then iterate, you can learn, you can see what's working, what's not working, and continue to iterate on that experience so that it builds further trust rather than deteriorating trust with the public. So we're very excited about that. So we started with 4 intents, just something simple, just to kind of, again, prove the technology. Create trust, but also create a flywheel of success and iteration within the agency, right? So a lot of times we heard today about things like how do you get funded, how do you prioritize dollars and so forth. A lot of times if you start with a hypothesis or something small, even if it's a proof of concept, show the results, that then breeds additional excitement within that organization to further create investment opportunities for these types of solutions. So I think that's our time, but I'll open up for questions if there are any questions. Otherwise, Pete might kick me off the stage here.
Question real quick. So it was about when customers are talking to an AI, the AI sometimes doesn't understand the intent. Maybe there's 1 intent or 2 intents. So if you could address that'd be great.
Sure. So when you think about standard NLU, NLP type chatbots, right? It was very specific. You create an intent and you give it the utterances. You create an intent and you give it the utterances. And those systems were okay. However, they would struggle to your point, right? One of the things that we're playing with right now, and I can't say that it's necessarily ready for production, but it's pretty exciting, is to actually use a cleverly written prompt that actually gives it descriptions of the intent and then have the generative AI model actually try to predict the intent. And it's been pretty amazingly accurate. If not exactly accurate, at least you have maybe 1 hit or the top 2 hits. And then you can create a really conversational experience that says something like, I understand that you want to renew your license. Is that correct? And then if not, go to the next intent. So there's some pretty cool things you can do with generative AI and properly written prompts that way supersede what the normal intent and utterance structure type structure would have been for chatbots.
Excellent. Let's give it up for Yasser and Cynthia.
Thank you guys so much.
Yes, thank you so much. What I loved about this talk is this is where the rubber's meeting the road, and we're seeing AI in action at the local level with DC. So thank you so much for your leadership, and excited to see those features roll out. Yasser, thank you so much.